How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 22 Chapter 8. This is Season 22 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Episode 8. In this episode, we will be talking about the impact of having a dissonant consensuality on others. If you imagine that the vast majority of people project outwardly the same roles as people project inwardly, a dissonant consensuality can be defined by the mismatch between what dissonants project outwardly and people project inwardly. In other words, a dissonant consensuality doesn't project the same archetypal assignments to people in their immediate involvement which they project on themselves. This means that a dissonant consensuality compels those within their social system to act out roles which they do not self-attribute. For example, a dissonant consensuality enters a restaurant with his or her family. When he interacts with restaurant staff, he or she projects archetypal assignments on his or her family members which are not consistent with their self-attributions. The immediate impact of this is that they are forced to play archetypal roles assigned by the dissonant consensuality's shadow self. This draws the attention of the audience to the dissonant consensuality with archetypal dominance. But this archetypal mismatch requires the cooperation of the social actors upon whom this archetypal assignment is provided. In other words, in the midst of a dissonant consensuality, everyone must play a role, as an actor, in a narrative established by the consciousness of the dissonant consensuality. Often this role, taken on for the moment, is inconsistent with how they are rationalized by the majority. Thus, the usual reaction to such archetypal assignments is aversion, avoidance, embarrassment. This tells us a few things. Number 1, the non-consensual behavior of the masses in the face of the dissonant consensuality is reflective of a narrative generated by their shadow self. This narrative is fundamentally inconsistent with the archetypal assignments which the participants maintain as part of the conjoined consensuality. In other words, a dissonant consensuality obligates those who enter its consensuality to act out a part in a narrative generated which is inconsistent with their personal thoughts, attributions and beliefs. This often means they are given two options: to play a dissonant role, that is, embody the shadow self of the actor, or to play along to the favored role set out by the dissonant consensuality's projections. The isolation of the dissonant consensuality is ensured by the narrowing or stenosis of their projection. The more restrictive the role assignments established by the dissonant consensuality, the more likely the actors will choose to exist in the role provided by the shadow self of the actor. The nature of the favored role set out by the dissonant consensuality's projections will be characterized by how it facilitates the self-attributions of the dissonant consensuality. In other words, let's say the dissonant consensuality self-attributes as a famous author, but they are not a famous author and have not published any novels. The conjoined consensuality of those around them will disconfirm an archetypal assignment by that nature, but their projections are such that others around them are consistent with that archetypal assignment. Individuals in their social system will be required to act either according to those expectations, that is how you would act towards a famous author, even though the system as a whole doesn't rationalize them that way. Meaning, that such action becomes a fiction, designed to maintain the illusion of such a rationalization to the dissonant consensuality. Everyone in the direct involvement only has two choices: to act to confirm that self-rationalization, that self-attribution, or to violate the actor's non-consensuality by acting out the narratives of their shadow self. A dissonant consensuality thus, depending upon the nature of the self-attributions which comprise it, can be difficult to effectuate. The narrowing of their expectations in accordance with these self-attributions results in their isolation as fewer and fewer people choose to act out the narratives of their consensuality. A dissonant consensuality is therefore an isolating consensuality. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.